Welcome or welcome back to the Light Renegades. My name is Starr. Thank you so much for joining me today, everyone. To those that might be new, we are the Light Renegades. We are a collective of Pleiadian beings bringing you information from the stratospheres that are ever expanding. We are disclosing cosmic secrets and bringing forward information that will hopefully allow for you to stand ever more in your sovereignty and in your power. That being said, this is a community space. We want for everyone here to feel welcome and supported. Your expression is welcomed here. And that is very much what this video is going to be about today, everyone. I'm not entirely sure exactly what I'm going to bring forward because there's been lots that's been going on behind the scenes, and I've really been having to take a second, third, fifth, sixth, 11th, 12th look at my life and my expression and all that I'm standing for right now in this present given time. And I think that so many of you are also in that expression too. But I would like to cast all of your minds back to perhaps 2 weeks ago. It might be only a week and a half ago that I asked some of you to send out some energy if that felt aligned to you, because I was going through a state of a deep purge, and it didn't feel right to bring forward exactly what was happening in that space for me. One, because there was a lot of energy of those that I know personally in my life brought into that expression for me, and I thought if I bring that information forward, that's going to divulge too much information about others that have not I guess censored that they wish for me to share that information about them, which is why I didn't share exactly what was happening in those expressions. And there was definitely some expressions being brought forward that I thought that's not going to help others seed in their understanding if I share that also. And sometimes I do have to take I don't know what the best expression to share that. Sometimes I have to take director's cut on some things that happen in my life and take a stand on whether I feel like that is going to be helpful or not. And I think that only you can know your personal journey to its capacity. And sometimes when I try and share information with others, we've all done it in terms of synchronicities and expressions, and we think when we try and tell someone the synchronicities that have happened in our day, it just doesn't hit the exact same way because it's not that person's expression. And I very much felt like that whole understanding was going to be that same thing if I brought that forward to you all. So for those that might have been a little bit confused, for those that might have been wanting to gain a little bit more understanding of that, I can tell you that there was expressions of my ancestral karma tied up in that space. There were some expressions that were being brought forward of me that were in deeper understandings in terms of where I've been in other timelines as a deeper and darker entity or expression in shadow, and I'm going to share some of that when it feels aligned in other aspects of understanding. And what I've realized also is that sometimes we deal with such diverse expression over here on the Light Renegades that often I find it difficult where I'm going to share exact information, because I think sometimes there isn't a crossover point with some points of reference to those on separate life paths. And I hope what I just said makes sense. So with regards to the Darkness series, not everyone that has been on the Light Renegade has been taken part in the Darkness series, or that with the understandings of Aleister Crowley or Crow. And sometimes things are brought forward in my expression that are very much connected to those timelines, whereas if I was going to bring it forward here and an energetic message, it wouldn't make sense to some, and perhaps put them on a path that was of an understanding that isn't going to be helpful for them. So this is a time to really take a look at where you are right now and what spaces you want to be stepping forward in with regards to the Light Renegades. We're still going to be bringing forward information from the GA, which is our fractal of the Galactic Federation of Light that once was, the Pleiadian High Council, but there was also offshoots of all of those expressions that are in different playlists and that perhaps, deal with different timelines at this present given moment is what I want to share. So that notion is there for some, those that might have been confused with what is going on with my expression and why I'm bringing certain information forward at certain times and then not. And I definitely feel like there is, this space of me setting my boundaries within this space. It's been very much a stop and starty expression over here on the Light Renegades. We've been having to grow alongside bringing information forward. And, to those that have been here for the longest time, I'm so eternally grateful for you in this space and for you seeding your light in your expression with us, through us. I feel it's a massive blessing for you to be here at this time, for myself and my own personal path, and the path of all of us here growing, expanding together. But I think that we are coming to a crossroads with so many energies, so many different understandings, and it's going to be up to you to decide where you want to be seeding your expression moving forward. And these expressions have already been brought forward to you, and I realized that I was feeling incredibly triggered because the points of expression that I, enjoy in terms of research, or the things that I feel most elated to bring brought forward, do deal with taboo aspects, do deal with shadow aspects, but that is where I see myself, thriving the most to some degree. And you know, I try and bring forward the lightest of expression as much as I can, but I realize that my understanding and the previous lives that I've lived have all been culminating to this moment, to this time. So my understanding, my, you know, unique life path, my unique gifts are very much connected to shadow and the taboo aspects of life. And that seed of expression is not going to be for everyone. And, you know, if it is for some, it's only going to be for a fraction of time. So we are a space to catapult from in terms of understanding, so that you can go and then seed in other expressions of understanding. And, you know, this is not the only platform that I'm on. I'm on with the Light Renegades over here. I do also have my, you know, Tarot and Oracle understandings as well over at Elemental Origins 2.2, which is a bit more of a lighter expression to some degree. You know, I deal with a lot of elemental energy. And that's more like dragon expression, etc., which is obviously going to be brought forward into the Light Renegade space as well. But I feel like there has been some understandings that I've been really having to ground in this space that do deal with a lot of shadow, which has been incredibly challenging to some, I understand. And, you know, you're going to have to decide how much and how deeply you want to step into that expression. But I realize that I'm a soul that likes to jump 2 feet in and, you know, sink to the bottom of the ocean and then continue swimming. You know, I want to reach the bottom of the bottom of the bottom of the everything for its understanding and come back up again to face it in the light. And we have been on a downward spiral in terms of our expression, in terms of our understanding. And, you know, we flip 360 in terms of expression with the understandings of Aleister Crowley that I've brought forward, called a crow over here. You know, we've now come full circle in his expression and his understanding, and he's now given us tips and tools to help us, in getting a little bit ahead of myself, but to help us seed in expressions that are going to help us create new pathways and understandings that are of a lighter expression, where we find ourselves, what I believe to be, in timeline convergence and timeline wars, as it were. And this expression is going to be explained a little bit more at a later date. But my understanding of where we are in the Light Renegades is that we are dealing with, you know, some very succinct and, how do I want to word it, like packaged expressions of timelines that are still very much connected to the negative reptilian order and its stronghold over planet Earth and its inhabitants, you know, in this given expression. Now, there are souls that are already here that have, you know, seeded past that expression and that understanding. And, you know, I feel like those timelines are shifting now, and you will feel whether this is your space or not to be with us in the Light Renegades. And, you know, I definitely took a knock at ego to some degree this weekend, and, you know, I felt very, very triggered by some expressions that have been brought forward of late to me. And I realized that I was being pushed into a space where I felt like I was really, really, really having to stand in my sovereignty and in my power and in my knowing of whom I am at a soul's level, no matter what anyone else is saying around me. And time and time and time and time again on this path, you know, every single person that I have loved to the absolute ends of anything has stepped forward and said, you know, they don't necessarily agree with what I'm doing or my expression that I'm being brought forward. And, you know, I've had to just really stand in my resolve and say, you know, I love you, but this is what I'm doing. This is what I feel like I'm here to do. And this is my self-expression. And, you know, that has meant that I've parted ways with some. That has meant that, you know, I've had to take a step back from some energies, and, you know, we're trying to work at coming back together in deeper expressions of understanding together, and just seeing where, you know, we perhaps both felt triggered in our expression. And, you know, definitely something that I think that I found difficult in others around me is this idea of that I've completely changed. You know, I've completely changed whom I was at a soul's level to some, but I haven't changed in the sense of I'm not the person that they once knew, but I'm the soul's expression that I've always have been. And that's been the difference. I feel like some people have stepped forward and said, you know, you've changed, but the truth of the matter is that my soul has just been ever stepping forward towards my self-expression and to the life that I want to be living and what I want to be seeding as my truth. And I know that so many of you are also there. So if you've been triggered, if you feel like you've been pushed into a corner and people are saying, you know, oh, you've changed, things aren't the same. No, they're not going to be the same, because your soul's expression is stepping forward. And anyone that has, you know, a direct problem with that, or brings conflict to your table within that space, or tries to challenge you in that space in a way that is negative, you really need to take a look at that interaction. And something that has been brought forward to me this weekend is this understanding of that I will let anyone speak to me. I will let anyone tell me, you know, how they feel about something. But I realize throughout my entirety of my life, I've not been given the grace of that back. You know, I've been put in situations and understandings right from being very, very young. That's been part of my life path, you know, to break free of this notion, was that my expression wasn't rightfully, didn't deserve to be heard. my expression was very much shoved down when others didn't like what I was expressing. You know, I was told that I was too emotional, which was not the case. I just brought forward an expression of my emotions that someone else found triggering. So they told me, you know, that I wasn't allowed to express myself in that space. They felt triggered by what I had to say, which then told them to tell me, you know, that I was too emotional and that I needed to calm down. This is something that has been brought forward to my attention time and time again, specifically from masculine energies out there, is that my voice doesn't deserve to be heard. My voice doesn't deserve to be, you know, expressed in the way that I want to express it. And something that I feel like I've really struggled with is that if people come at me with a forceful nature, I've just then folded. And I shared this in the GA update video, the GA last channeling message that I did. And this idea of that if someone's forcefully bringing forward their opinion to you, you're allowed to just as forcefully bring that expression back. And that is not, you know, bringing anger into the situation. This is not, you know, I guess getting heated for the sake of being heated. But I think if someone is forcefully sharing their opinion with you, you're allowed to also forcefully share your opinion back. And this is often where I folded, you know, because I didn't want to sit in conflict. Whereas now I know that I'm being pushed to be in a space of just standing strong in my convictions and, you know, not arguing for argument's sake, but I'm ready for heated debate. You know, this is what I'm being geared up for, because I know if I want to stick with the Light Renegades and everything that I'm doing, there was going to be opposition. There's going to be people, you know, thinking that whatever I'm doing is evil, wrong, you know, somehow not for the good of everyone somewhere. And that is their expression of their understanding of what I'm doing. And that is okay by me. You know, you are allowed to be in this space and not agree with what I'm bringing forward, what the Light Renegades are being brought forward, but I ask you that you bring it forward in a respectful manner and understand if you are stepping forward and you are seeding your expression here, we are also going to seed our expression back. And if there feels like there is a fracture in your understanding of that, or if you feel like that is then confrontational, I think that people need to take a step back and understand that how they are, you know, wanting to bring forward their understanding and not letting others bring their expression forward in correlation to that as an equal give and take. And I realized there were so many expressions in my life where I was allowing others to step forward and I didn't share my voice because it was quietened down. You know, I was told that I was wrong in some way. I was told that, you know, just that I just wasn't being heard time and time and time again. And, you know, I've come to a space now where I'm just not standing for it anymore. And I feel like this expression is being brought forward today for those that might have been seeding in that understanding too. And those that are incredibly giving souls, those that really, really care about other people's emotions. I realized that I didn't ever fight back with people or, you know, stand up for myself because I didn't want to hurt another person's feelings. What if that other person doesn't care about your feelings? And this is something that, you know, I've incredibly learned the hard way on this path, and I'm bringing this forward so that you can hear it, those that need to. You know, you're allowed to speak your opinion. You're allowed to voice your opinion. You know, if someone is raising their voice to you, this is not necessarily saying raise your voice back, but you're allowed to say, this is how I feel about what you have said to me, and stand strong in that conviction. And, you know, I still find myself, I can hear my throat chakra wavering, even as I say all of this to all of you now. You know, this is something that I've been having to work through on this life path time and time again. This is something that I'm still continuing to work through. And, you know, it has been a very, I guess, painful expression for myself and my inner child somewhere too. And I feel like I'm bringing this forward for those that might need to stand stronger in their convictions so that they can reach those aspects of self and soul that they wish to express into the world. And the GA brought forward, you know, that myself, me as a soul, didn't ask to lead, didn't ask to be brought forward in this expression of where I find myself right now. And, you know, I don't consider myself to be a leader. That was their words, but I know that I'm stepping forward and sharing expression that not others dare to step forward and share right now. And that's okay. You know, wherever you are in your expression is where you are. But I understand that I've been given this space and this platform. I myself and Anna Marie have created this platform so that we can seed our voices and those of, you know, other galactic beings out there that want to seed in their expression through us. And that's then rippling out to the collective. But so many of you are being triggered in this space so that you then go and do that in your own respective spaces too. And, you know, I've been very much a soul that hasn't delved into many understandings of others that were stepping forward and channeling. Like, I didn't know what it was when all of this started, or at least I didn't think that I knew. So all of this has felt like it's been coming forward at such an organic expression, but such a I don't know how to explain it, just such a triggering and you know, an expression that has been very, very challenging to be bringing forward time and time again. I feel like I've just hit roadblock after roadblock, hit my head into a wall time and time again of just being, I don't understand what is happening, but somewhere in my heart, I know this is exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. And would I have guessed in a million years that this is where my life would have ended up? Absolutely not. And you know, everything that we have brought forward as the Light Renegades up until this point, I feel like I would never have guessed that I was being brought forward this information, but my life has been so succinctly linked to everything that I'm being brought forward in this space by myself, by Anne Maria, that, you know, I couldn't have planned this out better if I tried, you know, but somewhere I'm not in the grand understanding of why all of this is playing out the way that it is, and it is a step-by-step process. And I think some of you are leaping ahead in your expression right now, which isn't wrong, but just perhaps, you know, we might not be the space for you right now, but we might circle back in times to come. And I feel like all of this is being brought forward from me today so that you can take a step back and look where you are exactly in your journey, understand what it is exactly that you want to be researching for one, what expression you want to be bringing forward into the world thus far. And this is going to be the world that we are seeding in together. This is not anything that we've experienced before. This is about us cooperating with our souls, knowing our higher selves, and, you know, other beings out here that have come to be a helping hand in this. And, you know, I forget that I came here to be a helping hand in this. I, you know, decided to take on this vessel, I guess his body, of Cassidy. I relate as being Starr right now in my expression, but I took over this vessel as being Cassidy. And, you know, I've been a volunteer this lifetime. As much as I'm seeding in soul's expression and growth for self, I decided to come here and share information that I know is going to help humanity in years to come. You know, I know that not all of this expression is for those in the here and now. This is something that was brought forward to myself and Anna Maria's attention right at the beginning. It was like, you are not going to necessarily be for souls that are waking up now. This is going to perhaps be for souls that are in the future. And, you know, what exactly the future looks like, I don't entirely know. And I realize it's because I'm not entirely sure what I want my future to look like yet either. And that is okay. I know there is basic understandings of what I want to bring forward, but I feel like I'm ever changing at such a rapid rate that it's incredibly difficult to seed in, you know, everything at any given moment. But you have to just stand strong and where you find yourself right now and come back to the core of what you believe in, because you deserve to have expression, you deserve for your voice to be heard, and you deserve for those around you to respect you and allow for you to speak your truth and for you to be heard wherever that platform is for you. You know, whether this is in your community space, whether this is in your immediate family or extended family, it is about you being heard by souls that are willing to allow for you to have that space. So if you are not being heard in the spaces that you are in, it is time to not be in those spaces. I feel like we have been giving situations and, you know, beings opportunity time and time again to prove themselves to you, that they are willing to listen to you, that they are willing to, you know, change on this path with you. And we shouldn't be asking for other souls to change. You know, that is not why we're here, but you get the expression is what I'm trying to share. And, you know, I said this before in the last energetic update, I think it was, is that times are changing, and, you know, sometimes some souls aren't supposed to be with us for those changes. And I think many of you are having to make those tough decisions now, but I think you're having to stand strong in your convictions and what you believe in heart to be your truth. And sometimes, you know, the mind isn't telling what the heart is giving. And, you know, you are not your thoughts is what I want to share. Do not let fear sink in. Please move with a space of love and understanding that whatever you wish to be brought forward in your expression is of the utmost amounts of beauty that it could possibly be. And, you know, no matter what you do, someone is going to be triggered by this. And I realize that, you know, this is what we are all afraid of. We are all afraid of conflict. We are all afraid of, you know, upsetting others. Some of us, you know, not all, but those that care. It's like I've been meeting aspects of things that I was terrified of starting this entire journey with the Light Renegades on, and, you know, upsetting others that are around me, being pushed into a space of feeling like there was no one around me that, you know, really truly understood my path and why I'm here, being challenged by others that I care about, you know, being ostracized in spaces that I felt like were once community. All of these things that I've been utterly terrified of, you know, happened, are continuing to happen, yet I'm still here. And I know in my heart that this is my path and this is exactly where I'm supposed to be, even when everything is in the utmost amounts of chaos, even when I feel like everything has been crumbling down around me. There's just been this part of me, of soul, that's just like, no, this is where you are supposed to be. This is exactly what you are supposed to be doing. And whomever it's triggering for a reason. You know, I get triggered just as much as the next soul. This is why we are here. This is all part of the growth. We can't escape it, everyone, is what I want to share. But it's about you seeding in your path and in your inherent sovereignty and your inherent power. Every single being here is so incredibly powerful. It's just about you tapping into that soul's essence and allowing for that to shine through. But I promise you, it is not easy. I promise you, it does not look, you know, how you think it might look. And, you know, I've been very conscious of the Light Renegades being a space that isn't, you know, all polished and prim and proper like I see some other channels out here. You know, I very much try to come forward with an expression of, you know, I don't know exactly what is happening, but this is happening to me, and I feel like this is the expression expression of truth that I should be bringing forward. And as time has gone on, you know, more souls expression is being brought forward, my own sovereignty and my own knowledge being brought forward in this space. And I think I used to hide behind, you know, the channelings of galactic beings out here, but everything that I get from behind the scenes, you know, they always tell me they love what I bring to the table also. And that's the same for all of you, whether you're in cognizant awareness of connecting with your teams of light or not. Each soul is here as an expression of self, and each of you has a voice that deserves to be heard. And it makes me feel emotional because, you know, I know how much I've gone through this lifetime because I was allowing myself to just fold, to just shrink time and time again until, you know, I've got to the point now where it's just like I can't do that anymore, you know. And that's come through as some explosive expressions in some circumstances, but I know that that's what needed to happen to shake up that energy. It was like, I'm not going to stand for it anymore. I'm not going to be pushed in a box anymore. I could feel this energy inside of me. And, you know, I put out a couple of videos of, you know, my 3D expression and feeling like I didn't have any power somewhere. And that is completely true. But I think that at the bottom of everything, it was a juxtaposition for me, because where I found myself in my life was an expression what I did actually feel in soul somewhere. And it's been my soul that has been guiding me forward this whole entire time. And, you know, if you haven't gone and watched that expression, you can. It's an energetic update as well, which is called My 3D Life, which might make this all make a little bit more sense to you. But it just felt like there was, you know, a fire that was always within me, that was always pushing me forward. And even when this was just like a tiny glimmer of a flame, you know, I just continue. This is why, you know, I'm still here, I'm still living, I'm still standing. I didn't want to be here for many expressions of this lifetime. But I just kept powering through, even when I felt like I couldn't take, you know, a single step forward. I crawled forward, and so many of you are in that expression too. So please do not fold now. Please do not dim your light right now, because things are getting challenging, because people are potentially, you know, stepping forward in your space and saying that they do not agree with what you are doing. As long as you are doing what is best for you in heart, and, you know, not outwardly just hurting others for the sake of hurting it, good of all, harm to none, as the DA said I like to express often. It is up to you how you live your life and what your expression is. And I promise you, the world of existence is ever more reflecting, you know, what is in my mind. And that is becoming more rapid in its expression. So this idea of, you know, not necessarily instant manifestation, but very close, you know, the walls are very thin between us and other expressions of accelerated energy right now. So it's so important you stand stronger in your convictions of where you are, because this world is going to start rippling out to you, and you want to be on the right side of that understanding. And, you know, I do not say this in fear. I do not say this, you know, to scare anyone, because I feel like our soul is always guiding us forward. But I do see that some of you are standing on the ideas of, you know, two very different paths right now, and you're having to make those tough decisions, but do not fold through the energy of others is what I want to share. So all of that to say, that very, you know, final expression, do not fold where you are right now because others are challenging you. If you know that what you are doing in your heart and in your soul is for you, then it's for you, and your life will reflect that back to you. And each soul is on their own individual path, and, you know, you do have others that seed an expression with you, but your reality is your reality. And I promise you, you know, time and time again, I've just been seeing in tunnel vision of understanding that, you know, when I've shifted, my whole reality is shifted, and some beings just aren't the same as what they used to be. Some expressions just aren't the same as what they used to be. That has left me scratching my head and thinking, whoa, this expression was very, very different from this person yesterday, and now they are in this very different understanding the expression. What does that mean for me? And, you know, that expression delves into a deeper capacity of understanding that I'm going to bring forward, you know, when that feels right, because I've been in some very diverse expressions of understanding, and, you know, I think I've been hopping timelines time and time again for the seeding of a darker expression. So that I could bring that information forward for you all as well, and to perhaps help those that have been on a similar path as myself this lifetime with dealing with darker aspects of magic and what that means for a soul incarnating at this time. If your family lineage has been connected to magic or darker practices of magic in the past, that's something that, you know, I've lived through, that I'm living through, that I'm still, you know, continually understanding and delving deeper into. So be aware of that too, everyone. Whatever you are experiencing in your given time and in your given moment is an expression of what you perhaps have already lived, or, you know, your soul's lineage, and that is okay wherever you are right now, as long as you are seeding in your truth and you're knowing from the utmost amount of love in your heart and soul for yourself and those around you, then you can't go wrong. But I think that's best be all that I share for today. So if this has felt like a rant, I know that it has been, but I think that it has needed to be for some. I hope that it's made some sense, because there is just so much being brought forward right now. It's just about you standing ever more in your own true power is what I want to share. But that's all for me today, and I'll be back real soon when it feels aligned. Take care.